Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Thursday morning here as we get ready to wrap up another week.
Yes, and yesterday was Roger Moss's first school board meeting.
The new president of the Savannah-Chatham County School Board took over after being elected, back in August?
Yes. We had quite the lame duck session.
Yeah, boy. We need to fix that. I hope the state legislature is going to do something about that maybe this session because they are in session right now.
Yes, they are. And waiting for bills to drop right now to see what they have on the docket. Roger Moss, I was able to attend a little bit of the school board meeting yesterday, and I would say he brings a different energy. He does have kind of a upbeat personality, so it was actually really fun to see him in that seat, and I'm hoping to see really good things from this board. One of the things that I did see that he did differently was that after people spoke, he did ask them to leave their speeches with the officer so that they could review them and get back to people. So he said that there would be more engagement from this board moving forward. Really excited to see what happens at the next school board meeting. The other change that they made was they will have 3 6 p.m. meetings this year, which they only had one last year. So we're moving in the right direction. So we will have 3 that are in the evening, which will make it a little bit easier for parents to attend.
That makes it better. 2 o'clock in the afternoon school board meetings, most parents can't go because they are working. So,
yeah, usually.
Yeah, if you're going to have the Chatham County Public School or any public school that we support by our taxpayer dollars, we should be able to go to the meetings.
Absolutely. And, one of the gals that was there yesterday, I have not seen her at a previous board meeting since I've been watching them and going to them, but she brought up some really good points on some of the things that she would like to see from the school board moving forward and some of the questions she has as to why she is not being notified on certain things. So,
is she a parent?
Yes, she is. Okay. She has a 5th grader.
All right. Let's see.
I think we're waiting on that clip right now.
Yeah.
But she...
Waiting on something.
Yeah. Yes. And, I think it's important for parents to voice their experience with the school board, because I do think that there's some big areas of opportunity for the school to improve and for parents to feel like they are more involved in their students being successful, which has kind of been a problem.
We have Mrs. Angelisa Savage Bryant. She's a parent, and her topic is Board Goals, Strategic Plan 1, Board Goals, Strategic Plan 2, and School Safety. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon to the board president, Mr. Ross, Dr. Levette, and to all board members. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. My child has attended public school in Savannah from pre-K to the present grade. 5th grade, in my opinion, starts the stage of independence and growth. You have a new plan called Way Forward. In this plan, you have addressed student success, family engagement, and stakeholder partnership. As a parent at an early age, we have instilled in her to love, honor, and to respect your parents, educators, and any adult. We taught her to follow the rules and to listen. Listening is a key to success. I come to address some concerns that have impacted this year, not only my child, but I feel impacts so many students in our school system. The system has received $99 million from the American Rescue Funds. The school system allocated funds to be used to address learning loss and gaps for the first quarter and second quarter in 2022. On August 19, 2022, our students took the first iReady diagnostic exam. The scores were available within 24 hours, so the teachers can engage and work on the gaps. Due to the time limit, my question to you, why was there 2 months delay in the process for parents to receive iReady data results? Why did I not receive communication in 2 parent-teacher conference of the iReady diagnostic results? Why are parents, stakeholders, not seen as partners in the success of growth of our children? Why are our students not believed in under a tracking system that causes intimidation tactics used? Why are Power School grades entered 4 weeks later instead of on a weekly basis in your system? House Bill 1178 gives all parents the rights to review all classroom materials. I want to address safety in our schools. On November the 30th, 2022, all parents felt the same. We expect detailed communication and want feedback and make sure that our children are safe. Under House Bill 1283, Quality-Based Education Act allows recess for preschool to 5th grades. One day at my child's school at recess time, 28 students were at recess but were taken outside of the arc of safety to perform a group punishment ritual. This was on the bus ramp on the side of the busy highway of Truman Parkway. I address to you why. Just imagine.
I'm sorry you're out of time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And if you'll leave that with the officer, leave your speech with the officer, we'll address it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. I will send it to you
Thank
in an
you.
email form.
That's
Thank
fine.
you for your time.
Thank you very much.
You.
Okay.
So there you go. Roger Moss taking over, and I think it's going to be a refreshing change, and that he is going to get some things done. This is a guy who has started several private schools, really knows his stuff, and is extremely concerned about young people and the education thereof, because he has taken kids out of the ghetto, as it were, and turned them into singing champions, taking them in Savannah Children's Choir, taking them all around the world. Kids who didn't even know, in many cases, believe it or not, Ripley, didn't know we had a beach, and taking them to places like Italy and Scotland and Ireland and performed there. They performed at Notre Dame. It's just, this man is a force of nature, and we are extremely fortunate that he came our way, and the fact that he's now school board president after starting several charter schools of his own. He knows how to educate kids, and he knows there's no excuse of the fact that they grew up in a neighborhood that it does not support usually learning activities. So, other than becoming a delinquent. So Roger's the real deal.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, I'm really excited to see the direction the board goes. I'm hoping we see more communication, but time will tell. He
It
is
will.
one person, and
But I'm impressed with the fact that he has asked, to leave your
Yep.
leave your script. It's easy to somebody to get up there and say, oh, this, and this, and then they leave, and that people just forget about it.
yes, and he did say there would be more active engagement and that they would be getting back to them. So I hope that at the following school board meeting, we'll be able to hear kind of their discussion and things that they're thinking about to solve some of these problems. But I do think it's important for parents to be notified about their kids' test scores if they're not doing well. I mean, 2 months is a large gap in a school year to not hear back on how your child did on a test that they got the results within 24 hours. So
That's ridiculous.
it is, and I don't know what the cause for that is. Maybe it's teacher shortage. I know that we have a big one here in Chatham County, and there's been some issues with that, along with our transportation issues that we are still currently dealing with the bus drivers. So I do know that was another issue that was brought up yesterday at the school board meeting. They need to pay the bus drivers more, and we need to get more of them. But some of the issue is that they go through the training, and then they get a job with CAT, which they make more money. So, there's a lot of problems, but we haven't heard a lot of solutions yet. So
Well,
I'm excited for this board to.
I think one of the solutions is that you give them the training under the guise that, okay, we're paying for this. We're paying for your training. You're going to have to give us at least a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
You can get a job at CAT, 24 months from now, but you're going to have to drive for us. It's like some communities that wanted, rural communities that wanted doctors in their communities. So if they weren't, a doctor could move here to Savannah or Atlanta, make a lot more money, work at a highly technical hospital that's got all the bells and whistles. and here we are in Squedunk, Georgia, and we have to drive 2 hours to get to a doctor. So they started coming up with scholarships for kids of that community or anywhere. Said, we will pay for your medical education if you will give us 5 years, if you'll come here and start your practice here, and you have to stay here at least 5 years. I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah, and I think I misspoke. I believe that that's also happening to CAT. They're training bus drivers, and they're going and being able to drive bigger trucks and things like that, making more money. So,
They're
they're
becoming pilots.
yes, maybe, I don't know. The FAA had major issues yesterday.
Oh, yeah, didn't they, though? But Pete Bootylicious is on it, our transportation secretary. All right, got a quiz for you, Brittany.
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
All right, we know the name of our transportation secretary,
Yes.
right? Tell me the name of President George Bush's secretary of transportation. How about Donald Trump's secretary of education?
Education?
How do we? I'm not doing this to embarrass you. It's just nobody knew who the transportation secretary was in
No.
any of the administration before this one. But this guy checks a lot of boxes, except competence, of course. But he's also known as Pothole Pete.
Yes, well, and a lot of the stuff that I saw, people were like, he was never qualified for this job.
No.
He
wasn't qualified to be mayor of South Bend, Indiana. They hated him.
Yeah. So I and no one noticed when he was gone for what, 2 months
On
during
maternity leave.
Yes.
Or
So
then the next crisis we had while the railroad strike was pending, he's off in Portugal with some exotic at our expense on, I believe, private transportation.
yeah, I believe they all fly private,
Yeah, they
if
sure
I'm not
do.
mistaken.
Because they have to.
Yes.
Listen,
Of course, it's required by law.
I really don't have any objection to that. The objection I have is when they start lecturing us about carbon footprints and how much energy we're using when they're using 10 times as much.
Well, I do have an issue with it because I will say when someone's on vacation 40 or 50% of the time on the government dole, yeah, I'm not okay with that.
Well, yeah, that's different. But
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going on a business trip, even old Boltneck, John Kerry, the haughty John Kerry, who served in Vietnam, if he goes off to Reykjavik, Iceland, sometimes it's a little difficult to go public transportation on something like that. And private aviation saves a lot of businesses money. I know that the Dalai Lama tried to make a big deal out of it. In fact, after he started complaining about private jets, we had to lay off 1,200 people at Gulfstream because orders got canceled for private jets. Do you know how much money private jets save businesses? If you have a businessman, I can remember a friend of mine who worked at what was Dixie Crystal Sugar here at the time, or Savannah Foods, and he would kiss his kids goodbye in the morning, and they'd go off to Savannah High School. He would go to his office, and then we'd go to the airport. They had a Learjet at the time, and he would get on the Lear. He would fly to like Saginaw, Michigan, make a deal, fly over to Schenectady, New York, make a deal, fly back to Saginaw to finish up something else. Then he goes to Denver for something. Then he flies back here to Savannah, kisses the kids when they came home. They don't know he's left the house. Now, you couldn't do that on Delta.
No, definitely not.
And I'm not picking on Delta specifically, but that would have taken 3 weeks on public transportation, and a lot more money being spent. Whereas this way, he gets to, and of course, and also private planes can land at smaller airports, so they don't have to land in major
international
airports.
yeah.
So they can, so if they're going to Saginaw, Michigan, they don't have to go to Detroit and then drive to Saginaw or whatever. I don't know exactly the geographics there, but private aviation is a boon to business, including, of course, the fact that some people buy Gulfstreams, and that helps us here.
Yes, it's good for the market, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they can also buy Lears. They can buy Cessna Citations and things of that nature. But at the same time, it's a big deal. And it helps, and I don't mind our public servants using private transportation or smaller jets, because it also does cut down on costs from that standpoint. But they can get the job done and then get back.
Yep, and I don't have a problem with it either, as long as they're working on the government time. So, but I don't think Pete works a lot. But who am I?
Mm-hmm. Coming up next.
we'll be talking about what's going on in the pro-life arena and what we're going to do about it.
That's on the way here on Get Real America. As we continue to get real. Thursday morning, what's the temperature? It's warming up a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah, it went down to about 39 or so, 40 last night, but it's going to start.
At Get Real America, we'd like to thank the Southeast Georgia Republican Assembly for all their efforts on making a difference in our communities.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Good morning and welcome back to Get Real America.
Welcome to Thursday as we get ready for another big weekend here, and also in Savannah we have the new Ghost Pirates hockey team, which has been extremely popular. Season tickets sales have gone through the roof. Even the Ghost Pirates officials say they are overwhelmed by the response, and one of the reasons is that for the last 15 years or more, we've had a big hockey tournament that we sponsor every year. It's been we had various sponsors, but we have the two teams from Georgia and Georgia Tech, and Florida State come here to battle it out for the big Savannah Hockey Cup. And it is, and I think that really sparked our interest in the game itself, because since we don't have much ice around here to skate on, unless you go to an outdoor facility to skate on here in the South. So hockey has not been exactly what you would say the most popular sport down here. Football is a religion, so that doesn't count. But hockey is a different story. And people who didn't know a blue line from a clothesline are now huge hockey fans. And but that tournament is coming up this weekend, and it starts tomorrow night. And it will be Georgia Tech against Florida State, and then Georgia, Florida, and then of course the two teams or winners of that one will face off for the championship on Saturday night. A lot of fun. Is at the new in-market arena, nice facility in the wrong place. But nevertheless, it is. My wife and I took the grandkids to a Ghost Pirates game last week, and we had a blast. It was really a lot of fun.
I'm gonna have to make it out to a game. I lived in Nashville for a few years and really loved going to the Predators games. They were pretty wild, but
I'm also impressed with the concessions. One of the top restaurants here has a place has a concession stand there, Spanky's.
Oh.
which has the best chicken fingers in the world practically.
Okay.
And also you've got a taco stand, you've got a hot dog stands, and the food's really good. So I'm
That's
impressed.
very important when you go to those games.
Yeah, it sure is. And I don't know what it is, but hot dogs taste better at the ballpark.
Yep.
It's just something about it. Take me out to the ball game. In this case, the hockey game.
Yes. See, the thing about Savannah is that we have the Savannah Bananas, which
Yep.
is kind of a wild experience, and then the Ghost Pirates, which I hear is definitely ramping up. So I'm excited to experience both of those. And you're right. Football, it is a religion down here. I'm learning that very quickly.
And go Dogs.
Yes.
So I remember a friend of mine that I got to know some years back. He was he and his family were here. He was the chief of the FBI, what they call the ROC or whatever, the regional operations chief or something like that. They have all these sort of acronyms and nicknames in the government.
Yeah.
And he said his friends called him up, and his wife was talking to him on the phone. Said, "How do you like Georgia?" Said, "We're having a great time down here. Everybody's very friendly. And we sure are learning a lot about them dogs."
You can't escape it if you live here.
Yeah, that's it. Of course, I grew up a Yellow Jacket. My dad went to Georgia Tech and played on Georgia Tech's one and only Rose Bowl team. So I didn't grow up a Georgia fan. I will cheer for them if they're not playing Tech or my beloved Ole Miss. Of course, I'm a little ticked at Ole Miss right now because of all the wokeness going on there. Never thought it would happen, but yeah, you can't stop communism apparently if you don't watch out.
No, definitely not. I don't think any school is safe from that. My
Ugh.
University of Utah, you would think would be very conservative, and it is not.
Utes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, you would think Utah. You think Mormons,
Yep.
Mormon Church, and you think the high moral character, and then you have this.
Yep. And it's a pretty woke school. Some of the classes I had to take, I was like, what are we doing
Sorry
here?
to hear.
Yes. So, college isn't necessary these days.
Your tax dollars at work.
Yes. We'll get into that topic later. I don't understand the funding for those, but one of the things that we're seeing happen across the country are the attack on these pro-life clinics and also on people that are, they're pro-life people going to facilities and praying and trying to talk to people about maybe not having an abortion. They're being gone after by the federal government.
Well, when you have a government that doesn't care about the safety of Americans because of all the fentanyl that's coming across the border, and they're not doing a damn thing about it except saying, "Yeah, keep coming because we want you to vote for Democrats." So that they're in favor of, if they're in favor of killing babies in the womb, then committing violence against people who were lucky enough to get out of the womb doesn't seem to is not a big deal.
Definitely not. And we have a story here about what's going on with these pro-life groups and the threats that they're facing.
Who is this?
So far, it appears Republicans will leave no stone unturned in the 118th Congress, with so much corruption to investigate. Addressing the violence we saw against pro-life organizations this past summer is one item that's top of mind. Pregnancy centers across this country were bombarded with graffiti, fire, and chaos as radical pro-choice groups like Jane's Revenge sought revenge. And the Catholic Vote notes that since the draft opinion to overturn Roe v. Wade was leaked on May 2nd, over 78 pregnancy centers have been attacked. Imagine Legacy Media's reaction if 78 Planned Parenthoods were attacked in such a short span of time. Now, more than 100 House Republicans, led by Louisiana's Mike Johnson, have introduced a resolution condemning these tactics, seeking to encourage the prosecution of any violations under federal and state law. Joining me now is the man behind the resolution, Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana, as well as New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Welcome to you both. Congressman Johnson, I'll start with you. Obviously, this condemnation sends a strong message, but it's not binding. Is the goal of this resolution to send a warning shot that the House GOP has plans to investigate the violent events that we saw this past summer?
It is, in part, Jen. We have a lot on our plates. We have so many things to investigate, as you've been highlighting so well. And hope you'll continue to do it. We need the nation's attention focused on all of these gross violations. We need to condemn these attacks that were, as you said, committed against pro-life facilities and organizations and churches even, in the wake of the Dobbs opinion leak and then the subsequent decision. But then we also are calling upon the Biden administration to take action to bring the perpetrators to justice. That has to happen here. We cannot allow violence, vandalism, threats, and intimidation that's been going on. against the people who are there to help the women who are in crisis pregnancy situations. It's unconscionable. The Congress needs to take a stand, and we're going to do that tomorrow.
Now let's move along to talk about legislating. So far, the House passed a bill stripping funds from Biden's 87,000 new IRS agents, but that's not all. A bill called the Fair Tax Act will be brought to the floor, and it abolishes the IRS. It upends the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed in 2021, and it gets rid of income tax, replacing it with a sales tax instead. Now, neither likely won't become actual law, but is this the new GOP consensus if we take back all of Congress and the White House in 2024, or is this just honoring the promises that were made to those who held out on voting for McCarthy? Congresswoman Tenney.
We've been talking about these things long before our speaker vote, and I want to just give a shout out to my colleague who has been a real leader on this pro-life issue and joined me in a letter last year that we calling on Merrick Garland to investigate some of these incidents. And it wasn't until we prompted him on Twitter that he even responded to our letter and our request for information about whether they're investigating some of these terrible attacks by Jane's Revenge and others. A crisis pregnancy center, Compass Care, in a suburb of Buffalo, right near my district, was attacked and firebombed. And so I really appreciate the honorable congressman from Louisiana for being a staunch pro-life supporter and supporter of women who are looking for assistance. But yeah, these are things that we've talked about doing, and we're going to continue to push them. These are great policies. I introduced a reduction and eventual elimination of the personal income tax in the state of New York, which is going nowhere under Democratic one-party rule. But I think we have to put the initiatives out and push and educate the public and push the Senate and the administration so the American people realize there are options out there, and that maybe we can convince them that this is the way to go. So proactive legislation ends up ultimately being legislation, and it sometimes takes a few tries before you get to getting that law passed.
Congressman Johnson, let me ask you this, because the Democrats are kind of having a meltdown over this. Congresswoman Pelosi said this: "It's shameful, not surprising, that House GOP's first order of business is to protect corporate America and the ultra-wealthy individuals who are illegally avoiding taxes." How do you respond to that?
It's just absurdity. She knows that. The Joint Committee on Taxation, which is a nonpartisan entity, is the one that came out with the finding. They did this analysis, and they determined that if the Democrats had their way and they hired 87,000 new IRS agents, their victims, their targets would be middle-class, hardworking Americans and small business owners, because it's the low-hanging fruit where they would go and try to use intimidation tactics to get them to settle into these payment of more taxes. That is not what the country needs right now. It's not what the economy needs, and it's not what the American people stand for. We made a commitment to America. We would begin with that as the first order of business, and we got that checked off the list yesterday. So you'll continue to see these commitments being fulfilled. We'll continue to deliver for the American people, and you're going to see it in a more transparent and open process. We're going to go through regular order. You're going to see single subject bills. What a concept, where everybody can follow what is happening, and it goes through the debate and amendment process through committee and then to the House floor. This is the way our republic and our founders designed this to work. The Congress is going to get back to the real business of the people, and the House Republican majority is going to deliver that.
Congresswoman Tenney, I'm curious to know what your constituents have had to say about this. I mean, when you talk about the IRS and these 87,000 agents, and you talk about taxes that people are dealing with, particularly in New York State. I'm from there. I have family there. I know it's tough. What are you hearing from them about how important this is to your constituents?
They're very excited about it. I have an agricultural district and a small business district. That's what drives our economy. And the statistics show that actually even the CBO agrees and said that with this creating 87,000 new IRS agents, which would make the IRS over 165,000 strong, a massive federal bureaucracy with a lot of power, by the way. And they always operate by you're guilty until proven innocent, not innocent until proven guilty, which is a cornerstone of our system of government and our justice system. So I think my constituents are very excited. They love the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that I voted for in my first term, which actually gave tax cuts to 95% of the people in my district. Only the wealthiest in my district, 5%, actually itemized and actually paid more in taxes. So the more we cut taxes, the more you're going to see in prosperity. The inflation is a tax on all Americans, as we know, and creating prosperity, lowering prices, empowering our American energy and becoming energy independent again and getting away from this Green New Deal and this irrational policies which are pushing our business owners, our farmers, everyone into this 100% electrification before we're able to even manage that, is also adding 25 to 30% to the inflationary problems we have. So there's a lot out there that we're doing and we're fighting for. And we're going to try to find like-minded Democrats to work with us who understand common sense. This is common sense. It's nothing radical. It's not extreme. You'll watch the Democrats on the floor. Every other word out of their mouth is extreme, MAGA extreme, or they say we're all talking about abortion. We just want fairness, reasonableness, kindness, compassion, help, and assistance to Americans who are seeking that.
Well, Congresswoman, I bet some of our viewers out there are wondering, can common sense and Democrats actually exist in the same sentence? But we'll be watching and holding you accountable as well, and looking forward to the great work that you're doing. Representatives Claudia Tenney and Mike Johnson, such a pleasure to have you here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that this is something that they do need to address.
Exactly.
We have a great organization here. They were the Savannah Area Republican Women. They're now the Chatham Area Republican Women as of January 1st. They're an incredible group of women that do a lot in the community. And
women get things done.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You are not wrong.
Yeah.
The women in this county, oh man, we have some powerhouses here, which, we'll be talking more about this year and bringing people in so you know who they are and what they're doing to help in Chatham County.
I want to make a good point about that after we get back from the break.
Yes, but I would like to also say the thing that we can do when it comes to this stuff is reaching out to the Department of Justice respectfully. And Jim Felty is the chief of the section. The other lawyers in the division are Eric Peffley, Nathan Tranenbaum, Thomas Johnson, and Maria Duncan. And, it's our First Amendment right to petition the government. And there have been 177 attacks on pro-lifers and personal attacks and attacks against churches, and nothing's been done about them. The DOJ hasn't opened anything. So, we're asking you to call these people, ask for them by name, remain calm, be very sweet, but also let them know that this is something that needs to be addressed. And the number for them is 202-514-3204. Again, that's 202-514-3204. I think it's important that our voices are heard and that they know that we are watching them and that we are going to start applying pressure. So that's what I have for this. But, just to let you know, Chatham Area Republican Women, they do a lot of stuff and they send out great announcements and great action items. So if you're interested. And I think we have to go to break.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're, we're not going to make it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Coming up.
We'll be right back with more here in Chatham County and also more along the lines of Biden. At Get Real America, we want to promote your business to our conservative audience.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
At Get Real America, we want to make sure that the real story gets out, and you can help us as a sponsor or as an advertiser to make sure that that word does get out to the community.
Be a sponsor and support your local community here at Get Real America.
Good
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care can keep families together. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
Bill Edwards here.
Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this Thursday morning. And we're getting ready for a big weekend here in Savannah. Got the big hockey tournament that's coming up between Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida, Florida State. Always a lot of fun, always draws big crowds. And people really enjoy it. And I think it's one of the reasons that we got a minor league hockey team here now. So, way to go.
So it's going to be busy out on River Street this weekend is what I just heard.
Yeah.
There's going to be lots of people.
Mm-hmm. It usually is. Notice that the crowds were down a little bit in some of the restaurants just recently, and now that everybody,
It's because it was
kids
so
are back at school,
cold.
the holidays are over. Yeah, and
It was cold.
Well, there was that too. Nevertheless, glad to have you aboard. And meanwhile,
you know, there has been so much going on with Biden lately. You know, he made it to the border. So
sorta.
He checked the box.
Uh-huh.
And you know, your favorite, Ducey, was questioning Jean-Pierre. And
we're questioning the dumbest woman in the world. If she's not, she's certainly in the top two.
Let's take a look at this and then get your thoughts on it, Bill. I'm excited.
Freeing Jean-Pierre.
And just one more. Why didn't President Biden want to see what's really going on at the border?
He did see exactly what's going on at the border.
He didn't talk to any migrants, and he didn't go anywhere that people actually cross illegally. Why not?
But he went to the migrant center, which was a critical place to be. When you think about the partners who are our partners who are helping support the migrants on the ground there happened to be no migrants at the facility at the time that he visited. But let's
because El Paso has been crushed. The shelters are full. There are overflow migrants sleeping in the streets, and then it's just a coincidence that suddenly the president shows up and.
Well, let me talk about what's going on in El Paso, right? El Paso did go down significantly prior to the president's visit by about 70%. And that's a good thing, Peter. That's a good thing that we've seen the numbers go down. And that is something that we should be saying, okay, that's a good job there. It has helped ease pressure all across the community, but the president's visit had nothing to do with it. And so, look, again, he went to a migrant center. He went to one of the busiest port of entry, which is in El Paso. And so the president got to see. He went to the border. He got to see for himself, we've always been very clear that he was going to talk to the people on the ground who's working on the border. And that's what you saw. You saw him meet with the CBP. You saw him meet with partners on the ground, as I just stated, who deal with migrants and their families. And the president also is going to continue to call on Congress to take action. Look, the president has been doing the work. And if you think about the record funding, he has done more than any prior president to secure the border and build a safe, orderly, and humane immigration system. And that's what the president has been able to do. We've got 23,000 agents working to secure the border, and we'll soon be hiring 300 more. That's what the president has done here. And so, again, he went down there, he saw for himself.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't eat recently, because I'm about to lose my breakfast here.
I will tell you, I wish you guys could see Bill correct her English as she speaks. It's rather entertaining on this side of the camera.
It's ports of entry, not port of entries. Just one of that's the least egregious of the crap that comes out of this woman's mouth, or what she reads out of her notebook that looks like a Webster's unabridged dictionary. It is just disgusting that she says that this president has done more to protect the border than any other. No, he hasn't. He's done more to unprotect the border. He's done more to destroy this country, of bringing people in who have no intention of being Americans. They have no intention of learning English. They are, many in cases, terrorists. They might be bringing in diseases. You see, and one of the things that, one of the most powerful things that the media has is the power to ignore. And we're not seeing the increase of smallpox. Polio may be reintroduced. I don't know if kids are getting polio vaccines anymore these days. And that was a real vaccine, by the way. When you got it, you didn't need boosters, and polio disappeared. But bringing and terrorists that are coming in, other foreigners that are coming in, and yet unvaccinated, and we are giving them all sorts of perks, whether it's telephones, because we can now, if they want to. When Jesse Waters talked about this last week, at first I thought he was telling a joke. But when you say something about this administration, you realize that it's actually reality. When he said that the president said that if people who want to claim asylum in this country will have an app on their phone. What? How much is that costing us? And where are they getting the phones? And is the app in Spanish? Is it in Yugoslavian? Is it in Polish? Is it in Ukrainian that are coming across here? Or is it multiple? Do you pick it up multiple choice? German, Italian, whatever it is. They don't belong here. They're not supposed to be here. They're bringing in diseases, and even worse, they're bringing in fentanyl. We have enough fentanyl that's coming across the border to kill. They say kill every American. How about kill every American 10 times? This is disgusting, and they're not doing a damn thing about it. And they're sitting there giving a song and dance from people like Karine Jean-Pierre, whose IQ I don't think is approaching double figures. And she's talking about this drivel, about this horrible thing that they inherited. They inherited the safest border that we have ever had. When Donald Trump was building the wall, if we had completed building the wall, we wouldn't have. I hope you folks in Arizona are real happy about them taking down those. That you got your new faux governor out there that they managed to squeeze in by the same process that they used to get Joe Biden elected president, which he wasn't. But they're taking down now those TEUs. The big containers that the other previous governor had put up to try to keep people out. And they're taking those down now, so you people in Arizona can get more illegal aliens coming in. Seems that there's nothing too good for our illegal aliens or Ukrainians, whichever one you want. But nothing for us. They should be protecting our border. The prime directive of any government is that you protect the citizens. You protect your people. And they're not doing any of that. And this is just disgusting. When we were just talking about all the pro-life attacks that are going on at the pro-life centers, the Democrats in charge we're not lifting a finger to investigate those people. We had the January 6th committee that was just a joke. Not a single Democrat, as far as I can recall, was called before that. We now are getting more and more evidence that Nancy Pelosi was the one who did not give the command. President Trump said you need to get some National Guard people here, and Nancy Pelosi and also the mayor of Washington, D.C. refused to call them. They are responsible for what happened January the 6th, not Donald Trump. And they were worried that this was going to be a peaceful demonstration, so we got the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa crowd getting in there to start all the riots. I can promise you that will finally come out when the Republicans start releasing more of these tapes that we haven't seen yet, probably some 1,400 hours. Nothing that was called before the January 6th committee, but no investigation whatsoever on the Summer of Love in 2020, when half of America was being burned to the ground and people's lives were being taken or their livelihood was being destroyed. And we had reporters from the Communist News Network and all the other alphabet networks, how they can live with themselves. I have no idea. Corporate America should be ashamed of yourself for even supporting this. And for the people who run those networks, pox on both your houses. When you have a reporter standing up there with a fire going up back, it looks like the Chicago fire, says, but you can see it's mostly peaceful. That guy should have lost his job immediately.
Well, they are not held accountable for anything.
They are not.
The media or anyone in this administration, that's for sure. Our friend Steve Stanton, he's up this morning with us, and he's saying they're doing this to make it okay to indict Trump. Our friend Lizzie Warren says it's absurd. The app translates, and they're bringing terrorists. These are all true. These are all true.
What's Hiawatha saying?
Who?
Elizabeth Warren?
No, this is Lizzie Warren. She lives in our community.
Oh.
She's a friend, not a foe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about
She's with us.
Yeah,
No.
you were talking about Pocahontas.
No. She's just saying, that the app will probably translate, and that, they're bringing across terrorists, and we don't even know to what level. It had
where
nothing.
Taken?
Well, they
Unless
also
they go
said,
to Martha's Vineyard, then of course we know right away.
They said it had nothing to do with Biden going to El Paso. Then why isn't the rest of the border cleaned up? If it had nothing to do with Biden going there, I don't know how she can live with herself, how much she lies, but this administration, Psaki was at least better at it. I'll give her that. She at least could lie a little bit better, and she was a little bit more tactful in the way that she lied. But I don't think it's. How are we going to wake people up when they just hear what Jean-Pierre says? And I think that we've also concluded that most people will just follow whatever the media says because they're the authority. And people follow authority. So it's going to be a rough few years, but the House, they are definitely starting to vote on some things, and they are Matt Gaetz has made this a little bit more fun for the American people to watch, at least.
Hadn't it? Yeah. C-SPAN might actually start getting some ratings.
I was going to say, I wonder what the ratings are for C-SPAN right now.
Yeah. Got to get better. Maybe start selling commercials or something.
Yes. And something surprising, and we're going to have to check it out after the break. Number one, the migrants, they don't want sandwiches. They want hot meals. There's a lot of waste going on with this.
When do you see this?
Yes.
This will turn your stomach in
Yes.
more ways than one.
Yes, and also something that was surprising that we have a clip on is Ilhan Omar being supportive of this Republican House. I know, you're shocked. We'll be right back after this.
Give me a minute.
Get in touch with us at info@grenewsmedia.com, or you can give us a call at 912-376-9295. Welcome back to Get Real America.
Heading down the home stretch here.
Yes, we are on a lovely Thursday. Always excited for the weekend, and always excited for it to be in Savannah.
Sure enough.
Always something fun going on, so if you can't find something to do, then...
You're a dull person. So there's no hope for you. There's plenty of stuff to do here.
So much.
Get out and enjoy.
So much. So as we go down the home stretch here, the migrants, I think that, I think the fact that, number one, the hotel rooms that they're staying in this Bronx hotel that we just talked about before the break, $400 to $500 a night bill. who do you think's picking up the tab for that? Do you think New York is picking up the tab?
Gee, I just wonder. But they've turned this place into a row house.
Yes.
And what are we looking at here, Ms.
So this is all of the trash because they won't eat any of the food, so it's just waste. They're saying sometimes they don't have the ability to take out any more garbage because it's so full of all of this food that the migrants are refusing to eat. Illegal aliens, I'm sorry.
This is good food, okay? This is food that you and I paid for.
Yes.
And they are, and you would think they'd be, imagine being that picky. Imagine if somebody moved into your house and demanded that you fix them steak and lobster. No.
I want to live in that house.
We don't want this hamburger stuff. No siree. We want steak and lobster tacos.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they are basically
they're
snubbing
cooking
us.
In the rooms.
Well, they're snubbing us.
Yeah,
And
they're cooking in the rooms. They're using hot plates, which is also a fire hazard.
Yes.
And this hotel has been completely trashed in more ways than one.
Yes, there was also some photographs of them having a party when the big soccer game was going on, and beer bottles everywhere. I mean, they know how to party, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But those are hotel rooms that we're paying for, and when those hotels get trashed, who's paying for them to be redone?
Could they? I don't know. Well, I'm sure it's going to be us. But
Exactly.
But what are they doing with this food? Are they taking it to the homeless?
Nope.
Homeless
it's going
veterans
in the trash. Nope.
That are out there. He said nothing's too good for our illegal aliens, but our homeless veterans, people who fought for this country, maybe gave parts of their bodies for this country. What are they doing with it? They're throwing it away.
They're throwing it away.
Why? You could give it to somebody. You could take it down to the Salvation Army, for God's sake. Where the Secret Service hangs out.
Do you think they wanted this story to get out, Bill?
No.
No. And this is someone at the hotel that shed light on this. This was not.
This is undercover video.
I don't think that they wanted the story to get out because they don't. I mean, taxpayers are already upset about what's going on at the border, but then you add all of the layers of who's paying for these hotel rooms, who's paying for the Nintendos that they're getting, the new shoes, the amount of free things that they're getting right now is astronomical, especially when you look at the economy here and how the American people are suffering through this economic challenge that we're facing.
By the way, there's still a shortage of baby formula, in case you hadn't noticed it, because the media is certainly not talking about that story.
No, I'm seeing things online that people are like, hey, I'm out of breast milk. Can someone help me? Like what? I mean, it is very sad, the things that moms are having to go through in order to feed their children.
We have a comment.
Yes. Bill, is the sweet potatoes the old Clary's? And no, this is Stevenson in Midtown. Nancy and Steve designed and built the restaurant. So
they built it. Actually, it was originally called Toucan Cafe.
Oh.
And it was and it was a more exotic type menu, and then Steve opened a place called Sweet Potatoes around the corner at one of the strip malls on Waters Avenue, and that went gangbusters. And he scratched his head. He said, I should open this first because just doing a good old southern cooking. So he decided, well, I own that building down there, and Toucan Cafe was not doing that way. It was tough getting chefs who knew how to do Caribbean type and Mediterranean type cooking. So he just said, I'm just going to move Sweet Potatoes over to what was Toucan Cafe. So that's what it was. The Clary's is still around downtown, and there's also there was a Clary's that was in the Habersham Shopping Center that's now called the Five Spot.
Okay.
And so I hope that clears it up for you.
Yes. So, and if you haven't been to Sweet Potatoes, go check it out. It's on Stevenson Avenue.
Food is fantastic. The banana pudding may be illegal in some states.
I'll have to go check that out.
Absolutely out of this world.
That is wonderful.
Okay.
So wasteful food. There you go.
My mother was such a stickler on throwing food away. It bothers me, and my wife even fusses at me because I'll say the last couple of scraps. I said, well, I can have this as a side for lunch tomorrow, and pretty soon you open the refrigerator and you have to stand back while the avalanche comes out. But because I hate to throw away food, and to see this, is absolutely disgusting, because they could take this to the homeless out on the streets, take it down to the Salvation Army. And just in case you didn't know the reference a moment ago, did you see that the President of the United States mistook the Salvation Army for the Secret Service?
Unfortunately, I did see that video, and it's quite embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. I'm serious. The president walked up, they said to so-and-so from the Salvation Army, and he goes over and starts talking to him. Now the guy is standing there in his Salvation Army uniform, and the president's talking to him. He said, I worked with the Secret Service when I was in Afghanistan and Iraq, which, of course, he wasn't. But at the same time, this is a guy with the nuclear codes. And as Tyrus said on Gutfeld the other night, he said, he said, there's a guy with a nuclear code. He mistakes the Salvation Army for the Secret Service. He said, I never thought these words would come out of my mouth. Kamala, where are you? Oh, please help us.
Oh, I don't know if I'd be calling for her for help, but
it's getting that desperate. And then we have Pete Bootylicious, who can't seem to get the transportation situation. How much money did the FAA get? Not only from this stimulus, latest $1.7 trillion, but during the pandemic, all the money that was given. Why didn't they upgrade the computers?
Because Pete was on vacation.
Now,
he had things to do.
Or maternity leave, one of the two. I guess he was lactating and had to stay behind. But we had computers once upon a time. They may still be there at Chicago O'Hare. Now, albeit they tried to save money. They said, if a system is still working, Congress passed this law, if a system's still working, why replace it? Why should we spend all this money? So at O'Hare, at least at the story that I saw years ago, still had operated by vacuum tubes that we don't even make here anymore. We're having to buy the tubes from Russia. And it was in a much slower computer because of how much electronics are in there. You upgrade because things get better and computers get faster. Mm-hmm. That's how it happens. The speed of light doesn't change as far as 186,000 miles per second in there, but if it has to go from here to here rather than here to here, it's a faster computer. It's a less distance to travel. And Canada upgraded their system years ago for a lot less money, and it's worked beautifully. The FAA, meanwhile, we're still talking with this antiquated equipment. It all went down yesterday, and for the first time since 9/11, every plane was grounded. Every one. Except, of course, I guess Air Force One or anything that old Boltneck flew on.
Yeah, so Steve Stanton also said he needs his private jet. Yes, yeah. Pete definitely loves to fly private.
Mm-hmm. Don't we all?
Yes.
I'd just like to do it sometime.
Me too. We'll work on that, Bill.
Mm-hmm. Please, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. You folks out of Gulfstream, hint, hint, hint.
Yes.
Want to do a test flight? I've been real good to. I've said very nice things about you over the air for the last 40 years. At least I could get a test flight. I've been in the simulator. Thank you very much. But I'd like to go on the real plane.
Okay, so we're putting it out there. Private jet.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the things that surprised me was how positive Ilhan Omar was about, number one, she was also taken off committees, but she was good with the GOP concessions.
Was she really?
Yeah, and I think we have her saying that.
All right, yeah, I guess right get ready to party.
The obviously cuts to the Pentagon budget is pretty exciting for folks like me who are putting up amendments to do so. I also think the church-style committee that they are thinking about to look into if there has been any violations of First Amendment rights of Americans by the FBI and others also interests me. So we'll see what ends up happening and if the Republicans are able to actually be able to get anything done.
That was the most positive I've ever heard her speak about anyone in the Republican Party or the GOP. So.
Yeah. So we have the Federal Bureau of Intimidation going to be getting more money and looking into those folks that are being naughty. Thank you very much. But she's excited about the Pentagon, but cuts to the Pentagon budget. It depends on what you're cutting at the Pentagon. Now, if you're cutting out $800 toilet seats, that's one thing.
Or the training.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of cutting out the training. I would also like to see in the military budget where they cut the funding for renaming a lot of these military bases and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some military bases have been named for Confederate officers, Confederate soldiers. And I would the only thing that I would say is that I want our bases to be named after somebody who was actually a war hero, who was actually, some of those Confederate generals were outstanding. I mean, they went to West Point. And in fact, when the peace treaty was finally signed in Appomattox, some of the federal officers and some of the Confederate officers said, "Oh, can I go over and see old John? We were roommates together at West Point. We're buddies again." But I would like to see him named after a Confederate general that actually accomplished something. I mean, he had some sort of a heroic war record as far as the Confederacy goes. I'm not in favor of changing the names of those bases under any other circumstances. So let's name it after somebody who actually was an accomplished soldier.
Yeah, well, and I also think that once we open the door for this bill, I don't know that it will ever end.
No.
I think that that's kind of
Exactly
the problem that I see with it, especially
We're doing it here, so that we got a square. One of the things that Savannah's noted for is its beautiful squares that were laid out by General Oglethorpe, and not a Confederate, by the way. But when he laid this place out, and fortunately we kept the squares, and they are one of the big tourist attractions. But one of them was named for a gentleman who may have used the N-word, may have even had a slave 150 years ago.
Yes,
So
and
we had to change that name, and City Council decided it was their right to do it. It wasn't.
no, it was not, and they have been. I don't think that they have also. Number one, they avoided a process that they should have followed, and they weren't able to get the number of residents to sign off on it, and they did it anyways because they said that them as city council own the squares. So
No, they don't.
that was
They
very
do not
exciting to
own-
hear.
City Council does not own the squares. I'm sorry.
So-
As a buddy of mine used to say in college, get a chain and a winch and get your head out of your butt.
So I do believe that there is going to be some renaming. For right now, it is the square formerly known as the Calhoun Square. But if they want to change it so bad, let's update it to someone very current. I would like to see a Clarence Thomas Square.
There
He
you go.
is
Clarence
brilliant.
Thomas Square.
Yes, he's brilliant, and I think that he's a Savannah native.
I'd like to see a statue.
Yes.
For Clarence Thomas as well. We need to be very proud of him. He was from right here in Savannah, a little place called Pinpoint, but right here in Savannah.
Yes.
One of the most brilliant Supreme Court justices we have ever had. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching.
Yes, thanks for tuning in today. That's going to do it for us, and we will see you guys on Monday. Thanks for tuning in.